Calling to order WTA Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Vicki, can we start with roll call, please?
Yes, Donovan.
Here.
Hawkinson.
Here.
Tice.
Here.
Lautenbach.
Here.
Lilyquist.
Here.
Sadoo.
Here.
Stewart. Here. Williams.
Here.
Darwin.
Present.
And Lund.
Here.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, item C, Eric's.
Yeah.
There's some service award.
I am so excited, everybody. We have 2 service awards today. If you snuck a peek, sneaked a peek, whatever that word is, 35 years for both. Kurt, unfortunately, isn't with us this morning. He's out prioritizing service over being there and driving his bus. This is how dedicated he is. That's one of the things. But I'd like to introduce our newest operations supervisor, Kel Kildall, to do the recognition for Kurt. So, Kel, thanks for being here.
Everybody, yeah,
Yes.
I feel honored to be presenting somebody who's been here for 35 years. I've only known him for the last 6, but in that time, I've come to know Kurt as one of our kindest, most reliable employees. He carries our mission of safety and reliability like very heavily, very respected by his coworkers. He's known to show up and support people with a treat or two from time to time. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, his peers are very thankful. The community is very grateful to him. And he also gives back to our community through charities, United Way, and enjoys peanut butter parfaits. His longtime shuttle partner says you can talk to him about just about any subject. Highly approachable fella. So yeah, we're grateful to have Kurt with us.
Thanks, Kel. And now our operations manager, Jamie Fairbanks, is going to recognize the 35 years of Del Walker from our supervisors.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, keep joining me. I like to do it. Bring it up here.
Yes.
Well, it is my privilege to get to award you with your 35-year safety pin. Been a great career here. Del started 1990 as a transit operator, bringing with him a lot of leadership skills, great communication skills, which soon brought him into the realm of dispatch, first as a sub and then as a full-time dispatcher. Also earned him the position of union leadership position. What do you call that thing again? I'm sorry, I'm losing my word. President, thank you. That's an easy word, actually.
A little harder on this one, Dan.
President, yes. I was fortunate enough to be a transit operator when Del was the union president, so I appreciated everything you advocated for that work group and the frontline staff and all the represented folks working at WTA. You did an outstanding job during that tenure, and I want to share my appreciation for that. And then became an operations supervisor. This is where I got to work with Del much, much more closely and got to really know Del for who Del is, other than the strong, stable voice behind the dispatch radio when I was a driver, helping guide me around the routes when I would get lost and things like that. And then I got to know Del as a very reserved, quiet fellow, but very, very knowledgeable, very good with his words, a solid writer. I was always impressed with performance reviews. I think when I was first to suit myself, I read some of Del's, learn how to do that really well. And I appreciated the time I've got to spend with you, especially in our one-on-one conversations where we get to talk a little bit about life and other things besides work and get to know you a little better. And I really appreciate the work you've done. The community appreciates the work you've done. You've had a large impact over the last 35 years in the service we've provided in your dispatch arena, mentoring training new operators, things like that. It's outstanding. 35 years, a great accomplishment. And we did pay Del back a little bit. We did find him a wife. Del's wife, also a former WTA employee and a great person to hang out with. If you ever had a party with Del and Andrea, sit by Andrea. It's a little blast. Del's great too. Yeah. Just a little more quiet. Party. So anyways, Del, here I have my.
And you had that stash.
Yeah. And that great red hair and staff.
The stash disappeared when I ended my term as a president of the union. It was a symbol.
Here's your pen.
Thank you.
Okay, give me that here now.
Well, I really appreciate what you've just said. I've told this, most of you've heard this, but maybe not. 1990, there were 3 operators hired. I was lucky to be one of the 3. There were at that time we screened up at Western Washington University and we sat in lecture hall when there were over 300 candidates. At that time, the economy was such that it was hard to get a good job here in Bellingham unless you worked at Georgia Pacific, a government job, the city or Western.
You chose well.
So I felt it was real. I just feel so fortunate to have had the opportunity here. It's been my honor to serve the community, serve WTA, and I'm not too much longer here. So I guess I want to take this opportunity to just thank you all and thank Whatcom County and the city of Bellingham and everyone who have provided this opportunity for me. And it's been just a wonderful experience. I can't say much more than that. Thank you.
Okay, you don't have to sit through this. Come on, let's go. So you want to say?
Oh, if you like everybody should sue.
Well, we're about to go into closed session.
Yeah, that's right. So I know the drill. Have a good day, everyone.
Oh. All right, the board will now meet in closed session for a collective bargaining update as allowed by RCW 40.30.144. B, the board will be in closed session for approximately 15 minutes until 8:23 a.m.
This closed session is going to be extended by 2 minutes, which puts us back in open session at 8:25 a.m. This closed session is going to be extended one more time for another 5 minutes, which puts us back in open session at 8:30. This closed session is going to be extended for another 5 minutes, which will put us back into open session at 8:35.
There we go. Hey, I call the regular meeting back to order. Next is item E, a public hearing on the 2026 proposed budget.
Set up in the executive closed session.
Yeah, so I. I'm a friend of this events, so.
Here we go. Sean, let's start sharing. Just get it in presentation.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
Well done.
don't move any.
Oh, I did it.
Oh, thank
No.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll see. Okay, well, good morning. Thanks for taking the time to let me present the budget. A lot of what I was going to say you've already covered, so I'm just going to kind of abbreviate, but so we're presenting the 26 budget, not just as a financial document, but it's a strategic implementation tool for us. So what we want to do with the budget is align our resources, both people, time, dollars, directly with the mission. And we want to connect people to opportunity. And then the budget will talk about some of the specific outcomes that we want for WTA in this budget. During the budget development, we kept our mission in the forefront, but we also wanted to acknowledge the board's direction of closing the gap between revenues and expenses. We have a structural deficit where we spend more than we take in. And in August and before, the board said, we need you guys to look at this. We challenge us to close that gap. And this budget actually does that for us. Well, it helps address them.
Just for clarity, we take it or that is operationally, when you include grants, it's different story.
Yes, not
So, yeah.
capital. This is just operational. So the key takeaways from today are we were asked to reduce the gap between operational revenues and expenses, and we were able to do that. We took a real hard look at our discretionary expenses, and those were reduced about 19%. Just as a refresher, those are supplies, repairs, maintenance, meetings, things that we can trim a little bit. We looked at raising revenue with non-tax, non-fair rent increases, so that's how we dropped down our federal formula grants differently. And then overall, the operational budget is only grew 1% over 2025. So we're able to offset increases in medical, wages, utilities, insurance with that 19%. And we're going to continue to work on this. It's not a static thing. We talk about it pretty much all the time about how we're going to bring these into line. The change with how we're drawing down the federal formula grants is just going to buy us some time. It doesn't solve our problem, but it buys us some time to look at what ways that we can increase revenues, maybe with taxes, with fares, and keep that balance in check. As we developed the budget, we had 4 budget themes that we were looking at. Maintaining our current level of service and actually our current number of employees. So that's something a lot of agencies and jurisdictions haven't been able to do. We have shared this with the union a number of times also. We're pretty proud of that. Again, looking at reducing the costs and increasing the revenues. And then also ways where we can use innovation to solve problems and save us money and increase accessibility for our riders. And we want to do this in a fiscally responsible manner. Like we talked about, we were funded with sales tax dollars and grants, and we need to be able to spend that money in an appropriate way. So the budget, we talked a little bit about this, 1% above the 2025 budget, and we were able to do that despite cost pressures for things outside of our control. The 19% reduction in discretionary, and then those non-discretionary went up 5.5%. So the offset of that was able to keep us down to 1%. Some of the inputs we put into the budget, there's that 2.5% sales tax revenue. We put that a little higher than this year at 2% because of the FIFA activity. See some dollars from that. And then there's just some new categories subject to sales tax. And the second is the federal formula grants. And just a reminder, the board authorized us to draw that money down to cover operating expenses, primarily wages and benefits. We will do that, and then we will put a similar amount, the same amount of money into our reserves to fund our fleet replacement. So we want to make sure that we're not using the revenue for operations and then ending up with an old aged out fleet that we're not taking care of. So this will solve the problem again for about 3 to 5 years as we look at what we're doing. You'll see large increases in 26 when we pull down a number of years of money that's been sitting there with the FTA, and then it balances out in levels. No fair revenue increase in this budget. The 2% placeholder for wages, and you can see where the increases we've had and some of the other things out of our control. And then where we've dropped our discretionary expenses. Few points from the income statement. With this change, that will have 26.3 million in net operating revenue. That's really with the federal formula money coming in. Our cash will increase about $22 million by the end of the year, again, with this revenue coming in from the federal money. Lower capital purchases this year. We don't have any large vehicle purchases or large construction projects, with the caveat that if we are able to close on a property purchase, that number will increase. And then our year-end cash, we're looking at 64.9 total, including the reserves. So when we pull out those 3 reserve funds, the operating capital and fleet, we have $22 million, what we're kind of calling our daily cash that we use to run the agency. It's just a graphical of our revenues. You can see A is the sales tax revenue, and then B is that new revenue coming in from the federal formula grants. So the sales tax part of the pie looks smaller, but that is just because the whole pie has gotten bigger.
Usually that sales tax is 75
75
to
to
80% of our total revenue. It's just off this year because of the one time.
right, with that federal formula coming in. And then here's our operating expenses. A and B are salaries and benefits, so the largest portion. You can see how the rest of them kind of fall out. Here's just our capital projects. So A is our local funds, so that's our WTA money we provide. And then B is going to be the federal formula grant. So we'll pull that money down and use a little bit next year. And then C, the grants, is going to be other opportunities we have for grants. All right, and so this graph, I'm trying to tell a lot of things in this graph. I see you nodding, Michael, so that's good.
I totally understand it.
So we started.
I think by looking, I could tell you the story already.
So dark blue is operating revenues. You see the big jump in the federal COVID relief money. We got that for almost 3 years. It dropped back down. The light blue is our projected revenues. So the large increase in 26 are the federal formula funds. And then you can see it kind of levels off. So we'll pull all those down next year and then it will level off. And then the fair increase is included in here in 2027. So there's a combination of that. The red line, the solid are expenses in the past, and then the dotted is what we're projecting out. So you can see for 5 years up to 2030, our revenues are outpacing expenditures, really because of the formula funds. So we know that's not sustainable. We can't rely on that, but it again buys us some time. The shaded part is what our revenue would look like if we didn't use the formula money. So you can see as we get out into 29 and 30, there's a gap between what we consider our regular revenues and those expenses. So that's the gap that we want to close and continue moving on. We don't want to rely on formula grants. Any questions on this slide?
One question. That the federal funds you are getting, that inclusive of capital and operating.
This is just reflecting the operating.
So the federal funds you get, they are used for, you get for operations as well as capital, but two separate.
We will be taking all of the dollars down for operations now, and then we will be funding the capital out of our own pockets.
The confusing part is that in order to draw down the funds, it comes in the thing as operating. But we've made the decision as WTA to switch that to capital, so that money's only being, so it's a little
decision. That's our local decision.
Correct, that's our decision, because we want to make sure we're replacing our fleet into the future. And so that's why it's important that John did a good job to show what it would look like without the 5307, because those monies really aren't being used for operating, they're being used to fund our fleet capital.
We sort of created a pass-through situation.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So visually it looks one way, reality is a little bit different.
And what this, I mean, as we talked about at the time, it helps us to make sure we're not taking carrying costs of $20 million. We're getting the interest from that money, all those things we talked about.
Todd?
This is going back a little bit, but I think you said that sales tax we're assuming will be 2.5% higher than end of the year. We just got our third quarter financial report from finance director, and I mean, Sapple can correct me, I'm looking at it though, but they're really concerned that while there was maybe 1.7% growth in the first part of 2025, that was 2 good months, and it's been in a decline for about since January. So I don't know what I'm interested to know, like what other jurisdictions are using their projection for sales tax growth and how that affects how all these trends look if we're building in 2.5. But that'd just be for this year.
We are seeing sales tax fluctuate a little bit. So we are below budget, about 1.3% below budget. And we had a 2% increase included. So really, if we want to hit 2.5 next year, sales tax is really gonna have to grow by 3 to 3.5 to balance that over the year. So we're being pretty optimistic. 2% is what we usually budget, but we're hoping that FIFA money will help us.
Yeah, I just,
And
Maybe.
sales tax.
the report
sales
we got
tax.
this week is very pessimistic. And it's our third quarter report.
I would jump in and say, I don't know if there's cause for optimism. So I think we are taking a very conservative revenue forecast.
Yes, Lyndon, we're down, I think, 2% for the year and we're budgeting flat.
So just 2.5% is for 2026. Right.
So say like the state revenue came in third quarter yesterday better than anticipated.
$60 million.
Yeah, I mean, they're forecasting in 27, 29 that it'll be lower, but. So what we're trying to do is balance all these things. We also have throughout the year, we have with the way we budget conservatively on employees and those kinds of things. So we usually end up making up. So like if we are 1% down this year, we've made that up through turnback and others. And so what we're trying to do is balance that out and preserve through that. But we come back with budget like we did. As we saw, we reduced last year down throughout the year, and we'll do that as we're going through and as we're monitoring the turnback with the 5307 drawdown and the increase in interest and those things. So it's not a static document that is, we're just trying to do our best to predict, and then how do we balance those things out as we're going through.
Let's say we're wrong, it's not 2% growth of sales tax next year, but it's only say 2%, that 0.5%, what is that in absolute dollar amounts that we would be short on revenue? The 0.5% translate to what?
800,000.
800,000?
Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we've been too optimistic that diagonal hash line would fall below the red dotted line a bit more.
Correct, and we would use our cash reserves to make up that difference.
There are a lot of factors that are out there, like low no grant. We're waiting to hear if we got that. That would make up the $100,000 or close to 800,000 in interest. And so there's a number of things we're trying to balance through here, recognizing that budget is something we're working towards, and we will monitor and come back and change as we need to through that. But it's a roll of the dice.
200,000, sorry, I did the math wrong.
Oh, it's 200.
I'm shocked.
I'll tell you the math I did, but
Then he did it right.
So I don't do mental math
I mean,
anymore.
we can lower the sales tax forecast. That means we're spending more out of the reserves, but it's a paper thing as we're going now, and then we modify as we go through next year on actuals, and then figure.
But it might be a more honest story.
Yeah, are we ready to open the public hearing?
I'm not quite done.
Okay, sorry.
I just wanted to share that when we were planning the jail levy 2019, and 2021, our projections, and I believe the city's projections were around 4% annual growth. So how drastically things have changed.
Right.
And that was based on last one decade of record and the state record, everything. We searched everything to come up with a number. How things have changed.
We in Blaine got some relief from our state retirement fund, that because it did so well on the stock market, our contribution to our retired employees fund went down. That saved us a lot of money. We've also switched our health insurance for our top staff to a different insurance. And so those things really helped us not to have to cut our expenses as drastically as we might have had to have done.
Yeah, we do have the reduction in the first contribution in here, and then Vanessa and her team have been talking about doing like a comprehensive look at health insurance. It's kind of a comp study on that. We haven't done that for a while, so that might be something that could help us save money too in the future. Just a few more slides. We'll just go through some of the projects that we've got in the budget that we want to invest these dollars for the outcomes going forward. So one exciting one is we're going to buy a vinyl fleet printer and supplies. This idea came from our fleet division. This will allow us to make our own graphics to put on the buses. We won't have to pay the bus manufacturer to do that. It'll help us do repairs easier. We'll save this money in one bus order point in the future. In money to invest in the public market improvements so we can activate that property. You want me to go faster? Okay. We're buying old road. I'll just, you guys can.
We've gone through these
Yes.
before, and with the public hearing. I just want to make sure.
Okay. So if there's any other questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I'm going to kick it over to Les. He's going to talk us through this slide.
Well, maybe I'll just set the stage. I can bring this back, but it's 26 budget and how it affects going forward is the board had set for us over the last about 4 years, setting this stage to solve problems. And so you can see all the things on the right, kind of strategic thing, or on the left, strategic things that have been going on to solve those problems. We are now going to be wrapping up setting the stage in 26. So we'll finalize the property acquisition, the rapid transit, and then we're going to be shifting into execution on that, which will change the mindsets and aligning our capacities. We're going to have to build organizational capability and capacity to execute on things like TOD, rapid transit, those kinds of things. And so where that'll function is we're going to be talking more in resourcing going forward, dollars and people and so forth to resource to execute as opposed to doing the preparatory work. And where that kind of gets to the rubber meets the road on that is how do we leverage our current organizational structure to better execute on things? So how do we build capacity within our current way of organizational reporting structure, for example? How does that inhibit us from executing? And so we're doing that kind of work. And then we'll be talking as we go forward, 27 forward, you'll see not so much finance on setting the stage, but rather focusing on execution as we build towards that. So we can talk more as we go forward on that, but wanted to set the stage.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. All right, we'll open the public hearing at 8:53. Is there anyone in person or online who would like to speak on the 2026 proposed budget? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 8:53. Further board discussion? Oh, Michael.
I'm gonna move that we amend the budget to instead include a 2% growth in sales tax as opposed to the current 2.5.
Second for discussion.
Yeah. So that would show greater deficit spending, approximately 200,000 would be the decrease in those reserves. You said the operating reserves were like 22 point something million. All right. Now it'd be maybe just not over 22 million. I just think it's more realistic. I mean, I just think it's more realistic. It shows the genuine magnitude of our problem in the near term. So
you're moving to approve the budget with the 2% increase?
Yeah, this point I'm moving just to amend the budget.
Well, it's not on the table to amend.
I'm moving to approve the budget with a change that the sales tax projection.
He's been mayor for a while.
I don't know, why did I get that? That's the proposal. It would change the revenue line, and that would change the bottom line, and that would also change the reserve line.
Todd, you're still good with that?
2%. Yeah. That's what we're talking.
And I guess I want to point out in the numbers, 40 million in sales tax revenue and roughly 40 million in wages and benefits. And when you suggest 2%, if wages and benefits grow more than that, we're going backwards. Just as a reminder.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite cover wages and benefits for next year, sure, but just as.
And your rationale is.
Hey, I think
Once
it's
again,
realistic because it goes back to the earlier discussion, we have these two lines. Growth in expenses that are non-discretionary and growth in revenue, and I want them to both be realistic so we can see whether they're converging or not. I just think 2% is truly based on the pessimism in other jurisdictions is closer to probably what will happen. We're predicting, it's a guess, but I think it's a better guess.
I think the other rationale is if we look around Whatcom County, our economy is stagnant. Construction is minimal, all people always build few homes here and there, but there's no big increase in permitting at all levels in our county. And there's no other large investments. We were hoping for the $1 billion hydrogen plant, and that has been canceled. Even the refineries, other people, everybody is staying put. Nobody is, at least in our AI, is all talk yet. Nobody is put a shovel in the ground. It's trillions of dollars, and it shows up in the stock market. But on the ground, which gonna cause the sales tax is that somebody actually spends money and buys something. And that's, I think, is not happening. And even if it starts happening, it takes a year or to us to see the impact. And I think we are really concerned, much larger organization, so is city. So I think that, to me, that's the rationale.
Okay, Kim?
Am I? Sorry, I'm having to drive right now. If in part the reason and part of the basis for the optimism in the revenue forecast was the World Cup, we have drastically changed our vision and what the city, the port, and other partners how we'll be, organizing for the World Cup. And we are much less optimistic about that as an economic opportunity for our community, and our current plans reflect that our most recent assessment. And so I don't know if Whatcom County Tourism, the city, and port share the same optimism about the World Cup being a revenue driver currently. And if we're wrong, that's all upside, but and that would be great if it turns out to be optimistic, but we don't believe so right now.
Makes a lot of sense.
All right, you have a motion and a second to approve the 2026 proposed budget with showing a 2% growth in sales tax versus 2.5%. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you very much.
Ask a procedural question. We had a resolution reflecting that. Is that motion sufficient with making the changes to that? Would Ali have the authority to sign that resolution? Or do we need to bring it back in December?
I think it would cover it. But
Yeah. Okay.
we approve precisely.
So maybe
Just to adjust the numbers.
Is this an appendix to this? The resolution is here.
Yeah.
So yeah, we approved the resolution. I guess we understand that the appendix attachment A
Will be fine. Okay. Yeah. So for the minutes, Vicky, did you get? Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, item F, public comment. Is there anyone in person or online that would like to speak to the board? Please speak for 3 minutes. You're online, unmute. Seeing none.
Oh, we go ahead. Hi, I'm Andrea Ryder. I'm the Associate Director of Food Transportation at Western. I do find it concerning that you guys just approved a budget that includes fare increases while you're going through. You just, did you not? It
Not
doesn't,
in
okay,
26.
then we're good.
Yeah,
Then we're
not
good.
in 26.
Okay, that was the 2025.
No, we're talking about potentially for 27.
Okay,
Future, yeah,
okay.
There's nothing in 26 for
Perfect.
fares.
Okay. I just thought I heard you oversay that. Well, we're good.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay.
So we're at
We're
the time, I owe Tim a huge apology, because at the beginning of the meeting, he's like, oh, do you think we'll have? Yeah, no problem. So in my performance evaluation, you can say, needs to do better. I just went on, so. Yeah, so we'll push that off on the calendar, so my apologies.
Item H, consent agenda.
Second.
Right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes. Any other business?
Not business, but just as I was coming in this morning, I listened to Cafe and they were talking about a public hearing on fare increases today. So we may want to connect with them on just what is going on. I thought that was strange because I hadn't seen it on the agenda. I did call in because I was driving,
There
but
was a public meeting last night, and then there's a virtual one on Monday, the
Oh, okay.
24th.
okay.
And then the public hearing on Thursday, the 4th of December.
So, yeah, so we may want to just connect with the local radio station and clarify with them because this morning it was broadcast as a public hearing on fare increases today. So anyway.
They were off all the way around.
They were,
Yes, yeah.
well, it's not unusual for them, but a lot of people do listen to that program, so.
That was KPUG, you said? Or what was?
Cafe,
Cafe.
yeah, Dave,
Gotcha.
Alan, Dave and Mandy.
Okay. Morning.
Yeah.
Announcements. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody.